Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm Judge Executive David Vogel. Happy to have you here today on the last meeting in November for the year. And I'd like to ask our clerk, Sheila Fair, in just a moment to call the roll, but I guess we'll stand first for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sheila, please call the roll.
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Leslie.
Here.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Eldridge.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logsdon. Here. Judge Vogel.
Here. Having the entire fiscal court membership present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Anybody like to make any additions? I have two. First of all, under D sub 2 committee reports and recommendations, let's put D2 on there. That's a resolution that the County Judge Executives Association has asked us to consider regarding the transportation funding enhancement by the legislature. And I'd also like to, under board appointments, number 2, we put the Crystal Lake Road Taxing District Board appointment. Hearing no others, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, Ms. Fair will read the minutes from our meeting, last meeting, which was on the 6th of November.
November 6, 2018. The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Bob Leslie, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hounds, Kevin Eldridge, Bob Dye, and Michael Logsdon. Motion made by Magistrate Dye, seconded by Magistrate Leslie to approve the agenda, removing item F, property transfer agreement. Motion carried unanimously. Approval of minutes. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the meeting minutes of October 16th. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to approve the meeting minutes of October 23rd. Motion carried unanimously. Public comment. Hunter Strickler, Vice President of Louisville Paving and Construction, addressed the court regarding the bid awards for the fall road paving projects and responded to concerns raised about unresolved issues on other county projects. Tim Kohlenberg, Oldham County Youth Football League, provided an update on the league and its accomplishments, hosting the second annual Battle of the Lake Tournament November 17th and 18th. Metro United Way presentation. Metro United Way President and CEO Teresa Reno Weber and Roberto Stouderman, Senior Manager, Regional Development, presented information to the court relating to its services and programs. County Administration, budget transfer. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the budget transfer. Motion carried unanimously. Payables. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon, seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to approve the payables. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Greenwell voted no. Community business. First reading, fiscal year 18-19 budget amendment. County Treasurer Melissa Horn presented for first reading proposed ordinance number 18-220-493, amending the existing Oldham County budget for fiscal year 2018-19 to include unbudgeted receipts from other county agencies for emergency communication equipment and from Oldham County Board of Education for school safety officers, increasing the receipts of general fund by $1,568,567.27 and increasing the expenditure accounts by $1,568,567.27. The second reading will be December 4th at 2 o'clock. Second reading, public hearing for the proposed ordinance, the 50/50 Flood Grant Assistance Program. County Engineer Scott Harris presented for second reading and public hearing proposed ordinance number 18-910-483, repealing and replacing ordinance number 06-360-462 to provide grant assistance for drainage repairs to property for certain homeowners whose property is being harmed by stormwater runoff. No one present spoke in opposition or support of the proposed ordinance. Therefore, the public hearing was closed. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge, seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to adopt the proposed ordinance 18-910-483 as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Contract agreements and resolutions. Bid award for the I-71 Warning Signs Project. Motion made by Magistrate Tice, seconded by Magistrate Likens, to award the sign purchase and installation portion of the I-71 Warning Signs Project to George B. Stone Company for $48,000 and the electronics installation and programming portion to ERS OCI Wireless for $88,762. Motion carried 6-3 on a roll call vote. Judge Vogel and the following magistrates voted yes: Likens, Tice, Hounds, Eldridge, and Logsdon. Magistrates Leslie, Greenwell, and Dye voted no. Committee reports and recommendations. Utilities Committee, interlocal agreement between Oldham County Fiscal Court, Crestwood, OSEA, and MSD. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to discuss and consider for approval the interlocal agreement between Fiscal Court, City of Crestwood, Oldham County Environmental Authority, and MSD relating to the acquisition of wastewater collection and treatment services. Discussion followed. Motion made by Magistrate Leslie, seconded by Magistrate Likens to table the discussion. Motion carried 8-1 on a roll call vote. Judge Vogel voted no. Crestwood Mayor Dennis Dybel presented information and further discussion followed. Human Resource Committee 2019 benefit renewal. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon, seconded by Magistrate Hounds to accept the benefit renewal for 2019 as presented and allow the Judge Executive to sign all paperwork relating to the renewal. Motion carried unanimously. Human Resource Committee dispatch step plan. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon, seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the dispatch step plan and new rates for Telecommunicator 2 employees effective November 12th as submitted. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Greenwell abstained. Personnel actions. Dispatch. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to hire Dennis Tegathoff, Jr. as Telecommunicator 2 at $19.19 an hour effective November 15th and to accept the resignation of Laura Barkley effective November 10th. Motion carried unanimously. Maintenance. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon, seconded by Magistrate Dye to hire Kana Townsend as Maintenance Assistant 1 at $14.90 an hour effective November 7th. Motion carried unanimously. Parks and Recreation. Motion made by Magistrate Tice, seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to hire Clayton Prather as Building Monitor at $7.40 an hour effective November 7th. Motion carried unanimously. Road Department. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to accept the resignation of Tony Clark effective November 13th. Motion carried unanimously. Public comment, none. Announcements. Magistrate Tice asked for clarification on the process to untable the discussion of the wastewater interlocal agreement, and if this item could be discussed at a future closed session. John Carter advised it would need to be removed from the table by way of fiscal court vote and that it does not fall under any of the exceptions to open meetings provided for by KRS. Magistrate Dye shared a KYTC road closure notice for I-71 in Jefferson County overnight, November 7th and 8th for sign replacement. Magistrate Hounds provided some user statistics regarding the County Smart 911 emergency notification system. Veterans Day is November 11th, and several events planned to honor our military veterans. Magistrate Greenwell announced steady crowds at the voting polls today. He appreciates voters exercising this right. Magistrate Leslie remembered Beverly McCombs, who passed away earlier this year. Judge Vogel announced Oldham County of the Year dinner is 6 p.m. Thursday, November 8th at Taylor Creek Farm. Motion made by Magistrate Dye, seconded by Magistrate Hounds to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting was adjourned at 3:50 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from November 6th. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries by the entire court. I'd like to add one more item that has come to my attention. I'd like to put on the agenda, at least to discuss, if not approve. And that would be under contract agreements and resolutions, C1. We didn't receive until late this morning some paperwork regarding a donation of a piece of property along Highway 146, that a small piece of property that we need to actually work on quality place to have it be a straight road. We did get that. Wasn't aware that it came in, and we would like to bring that up for discussion and see if we can have that approved today. Okay, so. Yes, sir. Would you accept that?
I move that we add donation file 146.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Pardon?
Discussion?
Yes, sir.
Is this the same thing that we table, or maybe didn't table it, but we didn't have the plat map for?
Yes, we were waiting, we were all ready to go, but we're waiting for an exhibit. And
And do we have
it
that
did
now?
came in, right, it came in this morning by fax.
Okay.
Right. Any further discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Time now for public comment. That's our time during the meeting when anyone who would like to address the fiscal court about a community issue or individual concern is able to do so. Invite you to come forward. And of course, if you speak, we ask you to state your name and address.
Tim Collenberg, live in Pee Wee Valley, Kentucky, again today here representing the Oldham County Youth Football League. This past weekend, we had our Battle at the Lake tournament. We brought in 17 teams from West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. Kentucky, they stretched from Owensboro to Georgetown, so we had a great turnout. In our 8 and under division, our OCYFL Bandit team won first place. In our 9 under division, the OC Bandits finished second, but they ran into a juggernaut out of Louisville that won 30-0. And then in our 10U division, really the most special team we had this year, they finished first in the Battle of the Lake. They finished first in Owensboro last weekend, never losing a game and only giving up a touchdown in the championship game this past Sunday. So great group of kids and families involved with that team. And then our 11U division, a team out of Louisville beat a team out of Scott County, Georgetown, to win that one. And, this was just our second attempt at this tournament. Last year we had 12 teams. This year we have 15. Had to turn a few away, just being limited by one field with lights and the other without. And time change makes it that a little bit difficult, but we're going to figure some things out because I think we can grow the tournament. And growing the tournament just helps our, what I like to call, sports tourism by bringing 500 families to Buckner-LaGrange this past weekend. And it was a great sight to see all those folks out there. Also, I do know this. When you have that many folks from around the area, you have some folks that are great in picking up their garbage and leaving a place better than they found it. And then you have a small percentage that doesn't. I guarantee to you, if you drive through there tomorrow evening, you'll not see a piece of garbage anywhere on the property because I'm going out there tomorrow to pick it all up and get it all cleaned up. I didn't realize how much was out there till I drove through in the daylight and went, oh my. So that'll get straightened out. But just to let you guys know, we have 30 board members, all volunteers, that put in, some of us, 37 hours Saturday and Sunday to pull this off. And it took all of us working together to have the successful tournament that we did. And I want to publicly thank those board members. I want to publicly thank Tim Curtis and Gary Parsons because they support us greatly in what we do up there. And then this fiscal court as well. Without your all support, we couldn't do what we do every Saturday in the fall, and this tournament wouldn't be what it is and what it can be. So just wanted to give you guys that last update for the year. You won't have to see me again till sometime later. But just wanted to say thank you. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to take a couple of weeks off, and then we'll start preparing for 2019. We've already started identifying helmets that need to be thrown away, helmets that need to be reconditioned, and how many helmets we need to purchase new this upcoming season so that we can take care of the kids that want to participate in football. So thank you all again. Thanks for letting me come up here and ramble on.
Tim, Manager Greenwell?
Tim, how many players are on a team typically?
Usually 25
Okay,
in
and-
these all-star tournaments.
Cheerleaders or anything like that?
There hasn't been any cheerleaders come in these all-star tournaments. Some of what we get is true all-stars like us, where we take 4 or 5 kids off each team and form a team that only practices 3 or 4 weeks before they start playing these tournaments. And you're playing against like this Louisville Broncos team that was so strong. They play together all year long. They bring one team. And but I think it's cool because what we do, we leave a regular season decal on one side of the helmet and a bandit decal on the other, so that you know that those kids are all-stars.
I was thinking about the economic impact that makes to a
Right.
community, like you
Right.
said, the tourism angle, you know.
Yeah, I like to call it sports tourism, youth sports tourism.
It's a good term.
I appreciate your willingness to serve all these kids and all the adults that work with these kids to have a great season, a great experience. It's really wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Also appreciate your willingness to pick up the debris that was left behind after the tournament. I did go through the parks, went through Wendell Moore Park yesterday, and I noticed there were some things left behind, and
Well, when we left Sunday night, it was dark again, so Monday when I drove through is when I realized that they thought the world was their garbage can.
I would like to ask you, do you need a road from the parking lot down to a back gate? It appears to me a number of people have
Well, and
driven
that
and created
has been
sort
an
of their own
issue.
road there.
Right, that has been an issue since we built that second field, 04, 05. And, you know, when you get so many people there, parking becomes, and, you know, this past weekend, they were using the gravel lot at the top, they were using the gravel lot down underneath the recycling center, and we just had cars everywhere. And plus, we had a soft surface. Yes, we could use, I don't know what the answer is. I'd like to sit down with you.
I'm talking
Yeah, I know
about
exactly what you're talking about, because I look at it.
Muddy road now.
Right, right. And I'd like to sit down with you or the court or the parks and figure out what we can do there. You know, just so that it doesn't, you know, the fence was a step in making that look like a quality area. And now I look at that road and a little bit of the mud bog that occurred this weekend and think, now what's the next step to maintaining that quality look? So,
We'll work with you on that.
all right, sounds great. Thank you all.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court? Seeing no one, we'll close public comment and go on to the first item on the agenda, and that's our normal motion to pay bills.
Make a motion, we pay the bills as presented.
Second.
Any questions about anything in the bills this time? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda, under community business, is the first reading of a zoning map amendment for 8809 Hawley Gibson Road. Is Brooke Veman here, and I'm going to ask Brooke to just review the petition with the court.
Did you want Sheila to, good afternoon, everybody. Would you like Sheila to read it into the record first, or do you want me to just give a background?
Well, you just go ahead and describe it here. You can read the first part if you want, but
Okay.
we don't need the entire thing read, I don't think.
Okay, so this is a zoning map amendment from CO1 and R2 to CO1 and R2. So they're not actually changing the density. They're not actually proposing any residential development plan of any kind. It's simply to change the zoning based on the existing environmentally sensitive areas after a survey completed. And the Planning Commission recommended approval on a vote of 13-0. So we're just here before you today for the first reading. The second reading would be on December 4th, and at that point would be the public hearing. So I'll give a full formal staff report. You'll receive the full formal staff report after the Planning Commission minutes are approved, which is next week.
Right, what we have here is to change 53.786 acres of a 147-acre tract at 8809 Hawley Gibson Road in Crestwood from the existing CO1 Conservation District and R2 Residential Zoning District to CO1 Conservation District and R2 Residential Zoning District. So it doesn't appear we have any change there. does it?
They are, I'll put up the map so you can get a better idea of what they're asking for. It's difficult to, I know it's difficult to conceptualize just talking about it, so let's get the map up here. So this is the existing zoning map. This is the tract, it's located off of Holly Gibson Road, circled in red. The green, the lime green is CO1 district. The yellow is R2. The CO1 follows, if you can see here, there's a floodplain determination there. And so CO1 typically follows floodplain, it follows environmentally sensitive areas, it follows woodlands, things of that nature. As a part of the property owners, they're trying to get their assets in order, and as a part of that process, they had a surveyor go out and survey the property, and they found that really the CO1 zoning is not in the correct location. And we see that every now and again. So as a part of their getting their assets in order, they're just asking that the CO1 zoning be realigned with the actual environmentally sensitive areas. So let me get. So really, they're just moving everything over, and there's only about 47 acres, 53 acres that's actually changing. They're not changing the density of so by changing CO1 to R2, a portion of CO1 to R2 and a portion of R2 to CO1, they're not actually changing the amount of density that's allowed for a development in the future, and they're not actually proposing a subdivision of any kind. Currently, this property is farmed, so it was the applicant's testimony at Planning Commission that they were not changing the land use. They're just simply realigning the conservation zoning with the actual portion of the property that they want to conserve. I hope that helps clear things up a little bit.
All right, anyone have any questions?
Is that
Magistrate
going to be a
Tice?
zoning change?
Yes, sir.
That's what we've got.
Yes.
Could you show us what the C, where it goes to and where the R goes? I understand the quantity is the same, you're just moving one to the other.
Let me see if
That's what I couldn't tell when I looked at this in our packet.
Okay, so this is a map that I made that shows, so the lime green that's on this map is the existing CO1 zoning,
Got it?
and then the dark green is the proposed. So it's just making the area smaller. It's decreasing the amount of CO1 zoning, and it's moving it over to actually follow the stream that's there, and the ravine along here that's there. Do you
So
see
is
what I'm
the
saying?
potential residential area in this increased?
Well, residential property is allowed in CO1 zoning as well. So you can have single-family residences in conservation zoning, and you can have single-family residences in R2. The lot size in R2 can be smaller than CO1 if there are sewers available. Right now, I don't believe that there's a sewer tap available to this property. So the minimum lot size is 1 acre, regardless of the zoning.
Magistrate Dye.
Early on, you said that the CO2 was CO1 was representative of floodplains, and what else did you say?
Just environmentally sensitive areas, so if there's really steep slopes or woodlands, things that are
So
protected.
basically, they've moved the boundary lines to better describe that area,
Yes,
correct?
and they had a professional engineer, Dave Garber, do an analysis of the existing zoning map, how CO1 is laid out, and then he actually went out there and surveyed it to see if it lined up. And that's how he came up with this new determination.
So they reduced the CO1 and increased the R2?
Yes,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Magistrate Eldridge.
Ms. Vehement, on that floodplain area there, do we believe that to be accurate? I know we're in District 6, I don't know, it's probably been 7 or 8 years ago. We had to redo the floodplain map because FEMA had done it and it was not accurate at the time.
So this is kind of tricky because FEMA is what the county goes by. The county goes by FEMA's floodplain determination. Sometimes The state Division of Water, their floodplain determination is different. So what the applicant is proposing lines up with the state determination. But what the CO1 follows is what FEMA's determination is. So we, as a part of the approval, the Planning Commission asked that the applicant file a LOMA with FEMA to change that. And if FEMA denies that, then they would have to come back and realign the CO1 zoning with FEMA's determination. So there's no confusion in the future.
Okay, but if we do this change now, that will not affect that change when they get the LOMA.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, well, this will constitute the first reading and then public announcement of this proposed change. Our public hearing will be on December 4th at the fiscal court meeting to allow anyone who would like to make a public comment about it to do so in favor or in opposition.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. The next item on our agenda, under contract agreements and resolutions, concerns the FEMA Emergency Management Program grant. I'm going to ask Jerry Nart, our Emergency Management Director, to review this with the court.
Good afternoon, Judge, Magistrate, Mr. County Attorney. Police of the court, what I have in front of you, or do you have a copy of this? Yes, what I have in front of you is the annual contract that Oldham County enters into with the state that funnels the FEMA money for grants of monies to pay for my services, or part of my services. It's no change from last year. This contract that you see, when you look at that first page and it says $3 million, that's kind of enlightening. This is the same contract that goes to all participating counties. They don't make up a separate one for each one with the monies. They just have everybody sign into the one contract for the whole state. And so this is what you're looking at. And this is the exact same one that we did last year. There's been, Mr. Carter's office has reviewed it, and there's no changes of any significance from last year.
All right.
Looking for a motion to accept, Judge?
All right, thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we have me sign this annual contract. Is there any discussion? Probably not. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Road Committee recommendations and reports. Magistrate Greenwell.
Well, Judge, you put one
Did I
in there.
skip one?
Yep.
All right, quality, please. How about that? Okay. I guess, Derek, do you have that? Give everybody a copy of this. I believe Magistrate Greenwell and the Road Committee is well aware of the request that we have made from Houchin Industries to donate a corner of Quality Place in 146 to the county, which would allow us to proceed with taking Quality Place into the Oldham County road system. Are you aware of that?
I've just heard mention of this, Judge, but nothing's come before the committee, and, we were supposed to talk about this before, and we couldn't do it because we didn't have a plat. I guess now we do.
You're right.
But
In the, we don't have to approve this today, we can push it forward, but I would like to just discuss it briefly. If you could see Exhibit, I guess it'd be Exhibit B here. The area at the Quality Place in 146, that piece of property that was part of Hartledge's business there, has been purchased by Houchins Industries of Bowling Green. They intend to propose a small grocery store and a retail gas station. Behind that's the other part of the track there that would be involved there. I guess it'd be on the second to the last page. Another individual working with Houchins has proposed building apartment buildings in that location. And have those buildings been approved? Okay, they've been approved Okay, the plan's been submitted and approved by engineering. So part of this has been an interest in straightening out this street. Quality Place is actually owned by Treehouse Foods, although it's used by the Oldham County Road Department, Hartledge Industries, pardon? YMCA. Everybody on that street is using Treehouse's property. So we have discussed with Treehouse about bringing that property into the county road system, which I believe we've had a favorable discussion with them. They're not in objection to it, but in order to do that, the road has to be straightened out in such a way that it was not laid out properly at the beginning. Can you explain that more clearly than I am able to? Okay, well, the intersection, when you come out Quality Place, kind of veers a little bit off to the left, and it actually doesn't go straight. It's not lined up properly. You remember Rego was in there at one time. So in order to get a proper clearance here, I believe this little area right here is what we're talking about. That little triangle there at 146 and Quality Place. We ask that Houchins donate that so we can have a turning lane there, and that is shown on Exhibit A right there. It's just a small little triangle, and they have been willing to do that. So that's what this agreement or the transfer of this real estate is to the county.
I realize this is one part of the puzzle, but does the rest of the road meet county standards before we can bring it into the county road system?
Well, that's an issue yet to be resolved.
Okay, so this is
Right.
the first step in trying to get
Right,
all
the
this.
first step is just getting the ability to do it, and then the next step would be meeting with the property owners on that street and Treehouse and determining the entire street would not be brought in. It would be, I don't know if you're familiar with this, Jim, a portion of the street. As I say, as you look down the street, some of the left-hand side would remain with Treehouse. They park some trucks there and things like that now.
That's the only clarification to what you just said is it's not the street, the whole length of the street will come in, it's the right-of-way width. We don't need all the right-of-way that's there, so the portion that the judge mentioned that's in front of the operation of the Treehouse,
As you're looking down the street from 146, it's the section on the right.
that's correct.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so that will remain in their hands, not in the public right-of-way.
Okay, I mean, willing to work with this and try to make it happen and everything, but we just, have to know the parameters and, if we don't
Right.
need it all, why we don't need it all, and if it's up to county standards, because once again, we don't want to get a pig in a poke, so to
Well,
speak.
right, we've got an unusual situation where people are using private property, and we're actually one of the users of that
Yes.
private property. So in the event that they decided people couldn't use it, I don't know where we'd be at that point. They haven't been that way, and we certainly don't suggest they go that way, but we needed this little piece of corner here to keep moving the ball forward. So if you're ready or willing, I'd like to go ahead and accept this donation. And
Is the document the same that we got in the last packet? The first 8 pages? That we got the last fiscal court meeting? It is. The only differences are the 2 exhibits, right?
yeah, I believe so, right. Thanks, Shaddai.
Judge, I'm not willing to move forward on this today, even though it's just a small piece of ground, and I understand the purpose behind it. But what Magistrate Greenwell said, if the road that's there now that we're using, the private road that everyone's using, if it doesn't come up to county standards, then we're not going to take it in, correct?
Well, that's correct, but how we're going to get it up to county standards is going to cost some county money. In other words, we're not going to expect Treehouse to get a street up to county standards for us to take in, one that we're already driving our pickup trucks and plows on.
Okay, so
We're
that's-
doing as much damage to that street as anybody.
Okay, that's part of
Perhaps
the.
more.
That's part of the equation I didn't quite get when
Yeah.
we were speaking
I
a
mean,
minute
we
ago.
have a responsibility there as well. We're going to work that out, but in order to work it out, we can't straighten it out. It won't come out right on 146, according to KYTC, if we don't have this little
Right.
piece of corner.
I agree with the, squaring it up with the roadway. But if this other part of the, doesn't come to pass, then we're gonna have a little piece of ground out there that's somehow or another I don't know, has any value to us. I think we need to go, like Major Greenwell said, I think we need to look at both items at the same time, and, I don't think putting it off a couple of weeks is gonna make a difference. But that's just my opinion.
But aren't we going to have to bring the road up? I mean, it's a matter of what we're gonna do to bring the road up to standards, right?
I think so, right. Well, one complication is that the people who are wanting to build the apartments don't want to build until we get the ball moved forward. So that's one reason we're trying to move this ahead, is to satisfy that objective. Magistrate Carter, Mr. Carter.
Yes, if you can ask the county engineer, but I think the reason the roads do not meet county road standards is there's not a sufficient right-of-way. And that's the reason we need to straighten it out. Am I correct in that?
That's incorrect. No, yeah, the judge is correct. The center lines of Quality Place and 146 don't line up at a 90-degree
That's
angle.
right.
And in order to do the radiuses with a center line of 90 degrees, you need this little piece of ground. One of the things I want to clarify, and Wes and Derek might know this, they've done core samples already of the existing roadway. And I don't know the results of those, but I know they've cored them, and the engineer's office has them. Of course, Scott's not here today. But it will be brought up to county standards. I think it was built in fairly good order with the...
I know they did core samples.
Yeah, but my recollection of a conversation with Scott from a while back was that the depth of the road looked like it was built for heavy trucks.
With the amount of truck traffic that's on there and the condition of the road, it's got some issues, but it's not horrible. I mean, for the amount of traffic that's on it between Wes's group and Treehouse, I mean, every day you've got 50,000-pound trucks running up and down.
The important piece is the base.
Right.
The surface may have taken a beating over the last couple of years, but
Salt
the
and
base is
everything
good.
else.
But again, to answer your question, Magistrate Dye, that's what Scott's working on to assure that that it meets the base standards. So there were core samples done.
I didn't quite get the, early on, the idea that we were going to take the road over with an investment in that road. I thought it was just a matter of just taking it over. I didn't realize it was going to be take the road and then add something to it. I wasn't aware of that part of it. Okay, I get it.
Well, really, it wouldn't be it's everybody on that road. I think we have to sit down and discuss with all parties who are using that property what their proportionate share of making it a public road would be.
Okay,
It functions as a public road now at Treehouse's consideration.
Okay, back again, circling around, I get it now, but when we first started talking about it, it was just a matter of taking that little hatch mark of ground and say, they're gonna give it to us, let's take it, a great deal. And then we're gonna get the road carte blanche. Now, it doesn't seem quite that way. Now we're getting a road with a lot more negotiations going on, correct?
Well, yes, I mean, let's say there's a desire on the part of, I think, the majority here or let's say, we need to bring this into the public. It's a publicly used street. We're one of the tenants on that street. We're going to ask everybody in there, including the YMCA, others, to bear a proportionate share of this, bringing this up, and that may include Treehouse as well.
Right.
But in order to move the ball forward, we have to be able to have a road, and in order to have a road, we've got to have these access points between Quality Place and 146 that were not laid out properly ever to begin with. And this little piece
All
of
right.
ground gives us the access to, or opportunity to straighten that part of the equation out.
Okay, it's a little clearer now. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. I realize that there is a need to be expeditious here, but there's a chicken and egg question. On page 2, item 2 says conditions precedent to JFS's obligations. JFS's obligation to complete the closing contemplated are subject to the satisfaction of the following conditions. Item A is dedication and acceptance of quality place into the county road system. County shall secure from applicable property owners such deeds and other necessary documents of transfer as required to provide for the dedication and transfer of that private drive depicted as quality place. I realize we need this to get quality place done, but it also in this contract says we need to have those other things to be able to enter into this contract, is the way I read that. I would think it would need to go back to Mr. Greenwell's committee, but that's your all's call. That'd be my comment for the day.
Manager Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge, and I know what we're trying to do here, and I am in favor of what we're trying to do. Magistrate Eldridge brought forth a critical point that which needs to be done first, and I think the road has to be accepted into the county road system before we can take that piece of property to make the road we want to be.
Well, actually, I think we have the opposite point of view, that we can't take it into the county road system if it doesn't meet intersection standards for the state highway.
If the property is always there for us to have, and we just have to accept it, then why don't we get the road done first and then accept the property?
Well, you can't get the road done until the additional property
I'm talking about
is,
just bringing it into the system. We're not talking about revamping it. We're just talking about bringing it into the system.
well, it doesn't necessarily meet the standards at this point to bring it into the system. Two issues are, one, it doesn't meet at 90-degree angles at the center line of 146 and Quality Place, and that's what this property assures. And the other is that even if the base is good, we're still going to talk to all the adjoining property owners, like the judge described, to consider paving it before it gets accepted, because it has been damaged by all the heavy truck traffic. It's in reasonable shape, but we're going to pave it first. Then you accept it in the county road system, once it's paved and done. So the other thing I wanted to point out while I'm up here, if I may, Judge, is when the Houchins and the apartment development went to the Planning Commission and actually then to Fiscal Court, they agreed, JFS, that they would participate in the paving of their segment of Quality Place along their road frontage. Well, that's not done yet because we don't know exactly what needs to be done and have the meeting with the property owner. So it's not really a chicken and egg. You got to do these first parts to get to the final part, which is accepting it in the county road system.
But that's not according to the terms of the agreement.
Yeah, I think what they're getting at, and I didn't really pay attention to what you were reading, and I didn't read it, is that they're just wanting to assure that everybody else is in the game plan before they give this land to us and be done with it. In other words, they don't want to have the responsibility of doing their part without everybody else doing it to accept it into the county road system. As I understand it from conversations, not from contract language.
Manager Tice.
Is the center line of, not at 146, but is the center line of the road on back to the Y, is it in the correct place?
Yes, and again, there's more right-of-way than we need for the road.
So we're going to have how much right-of-way?
I don't remember what the document says. Engineering office been working on this. I've just been hearing conversations, was involved in it early on, but it's wider than it needs to be as you go further back, especially right in front of the treehouse where they park tractor trailers. So I think the bottom line is that the center line will be generally in the center of the right-of-way when it's done.
So that will stay approximate, and what I'm getting at is whatever width on each side, which I assume is going to be 30 foot or 30 on each side.
Yes.
Is that going to encroach on any of the other property owners, such as Hartledge or our piece of property? And there's another property there, I can't think of it.
Good question. I think the answer is no. We're not asking for any of the adjoining property owners to give any additional land or impact.
Got it.
Right.
And the center line will be there.
Yeah, I
What's
don't
that?
have the document. I can,
An 80-foot?
yeah. I think we only look for 60.
So we're going to have the center line basically where it is, but we're gonna get that cut out on the 146 to be able to put the right radius
The
to
right
get out.
radius in, right, for tractor trailer turning movements, right.
And then I guess have we already gotten the okay, and I think Judge said that, we've already gotten the okay with the food place.
Treehouse, right.
Treehouse, they've changed names so much I sometimes forget, I apologize. We've already gotten, they're willing to donate that property to us. All of that road.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
They're gonna give us all that property so we can make it into a county road.
They're willing, right, to have their road become a county road. So,
Yes,
right.
so they're gonna give us property and we don't have to acquire that property.
Acquire it, no. No.
Then the only thing we gotta do is pave it to get it up to standard. Okay, thank you.
Magistrate Hounds?
Who wrote the document? I mean, the reason I ask is because the language that Magistrate Eldridge pointed out, I understand now what he's saying after reading it a few times. And I guess what was the intent of those lines? Was it to secure the property? Because it does kind of contradict what we're trying to do. But I guess, and maybe.
Well, I think they want agreement that we're gonna do what we say we're gonna do before they give the property. I guess if we don't do what we say we can do, we can give it back to them.
And I guess John Carter's, Mr. Carter would be the one to, if we're reading this correctly, or if we're reading it wrong, that's,
If you move on to something else, I'll take a look at it. If you want.
Okay, well, is there, Magistrate Greenwell?
I was just going to say, Judge, that we're always told a week in advance by Sheila that if we have anything to come before the agenda, to be sure that it passes John Carter's, smell test. And Derek comes rolling in here with all these copies, and John's not had a chance to see this yet. So he needs to look at this, and then we'll be all on the same page.
Yeah, well, that's not Derek's fault. I
understand
asked you
that.
to get
I understand.
Yeah, right. Well, I thought we were up to date. It doesn't seem like that big a deal to me. We just can't seem to get this particular project
that was my question.
move forward. We've been struggling with this for most of the year for some reason. and-
That was my question earlier. If this is the same document, when we got this document at the last fiscal court meeting, I believe that John Carter's sheet was on the front of it. That's why I was asking if this is the same document, because if it is, then Mr. Carter's already reviewed it.
He'd looked over it, but it said at the bottom, no plat. It didn't say he'd reviewed it, it just had scribbled across it, no plat.
Correct. Correct.
Right, it was waiting for the sections A and B. Okay. Magistrate Eldridge.
Mr. Urban, does the county have other roads that it owns that are dead end with no cul-de-sac?
Yes. Yeah, most of them are in subdivisions, but there are a lot of dead-end road, county roads.
That don't have cul-de-sacs?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. How about, we want to table this for a little bit here and see if, give Mr. Carter a chance to look that over, or,
I'll move that we table this particular item until the next meeting.
Second.
okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion table. Next item on the agenda has to do with the award of a dump truck. Measure Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. We would like to go ahead and award the bid for the tandem dump truck to Uhl Truck Sales. It is a 2019 International Tandem Axle Dump Truck, and the amount is $115,864.21, and we will get this truck before the end of the fiscal year.
Second.
Is there a discussion on this? Magistrate Eldridge.
Magistrate Greenwell, I notice we're out of date on this document. Is we still going to get it by the end of the year?
Yes.
Okay.
We have been assured that we will get it by June.
Judge,
All right,
is this the one that's on the lot, or
It is. The truck is on the lot. If we approve this today, then it'll be sent to the company that puts the bed on it and the plow, not the plow, but the bed on it and the hydraulic on the back of it.
I thought the triaxle was the one they had on the lot.
Truck is not on the lot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
International was the only one who could guarantee us they could have the chassis built and delivered to Edinger by early March. Anytime later than that, Edinger couldn't get it done by the fiscal year.
So they can have it built and delivered by March,
Yes.
and then Edinger can put the bed on it and have it to us by the end of
Yes,
the fiscal year.
Edinger said they would move it up because they don't have to build a plow rack, plow bumper.
Right.
So all they gotta do is put the cylinder on it in the bed, and the rear hydraulics, and be ready to go. And upon y'all's approval, I'm making a phone call as soon as I walk out to get it going.
This won't have a plow, it'll just be used
No.
strictly as a dump truck to.
Yes, tow
haul
backhoes,
rock,
tow equipment,
Tow, okay.
hot more rock. And the reason we want a rear hydraulics, we're gonna try to use it as a shouldering truck too.
What, I'm sorry?
Shouldering machine truck. Single axle, you're constantly running back and forth to the shop, so tandem, you know.
Not gonna have a, just won't have an aluminum bed like the
No.
salt trucks?
No.
Okay.
Steel bed.
You're going to stay, I want to talk with you after the meeting, too. Okay. Any other questions here on this? All right, we've had a motion. Second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The next items have to do with this resolution here. Do you all have a copy of it? I hope you do. I think you should have been given one. It's a non-specific resolution, but it does ask for the modernization of Kentucky's transportation funding mechanisms to address transportation funding needs throughout the Commonwealth. And it says, whereas all Kentucky benefits from an interconnected multimodal transportation network that contains 57 airports, 2,600 freight rail miles, 8 operating public river ports, a state transit network, and more than 14,000 bridges, and nearly 80,000 center mile lines. Those are a lot of statistics that people may not realize. And whereas a safe and efficient transportation is deemed essential to the public, and whereas all Kentucky communities depend on safe and reliable transportation and for access to education, health care, employment, and other basic needs, and whereas according to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Kentucky's road fund requires an additional $500 million per year to address current maintenance and construction needs, and for the airports, roads, river ports, transit system to be sustained, and adequate investments for maintenance and improvements. And now they're asking that we support this. Now therefore be it resolved that Oldham County Fiscal Court supports legislation to modernize Kentucky's transportation funding mechanisms to increase existing sources of funding to generate revenues needed for maintenance and construction on all modes of transportation. And be it further resolved that Oldham County Fiscal Court strongly encourages the Kentucky General Assembly to act as soon as possible to address all of Kentucky's transportation funding needs to avoid further erosion of the transportation network. So that's the resolution the Kentucky County Judges Association has asked us to support. It's non-specific in the sense that it doesn't say how anybody's going to do this, just says it should be done. So is there a motion to support this resolution?
So move.
All right. Is there any discussion about it? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Under personnel items, under E, we have a new building monitor, Gabriel Bratetic, that we'd like to hire at $7.40 per hour, effective this week.
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We have a resolution, we have a resignation here, Suzanne Schulte, effective the 14th of November.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. The next on board appointments here, I'd like to appoint Deputy Kevin Nuss to a 2-year term to the Oldham County Ambulance Taxing District Board. We had a term expire there. Kevin, of course, is, in my estimation, well-suited to be involved in the public emergency services, 32 years of public safety as a first responder, And he has also been on the North Oldham Fire Protection Board and worked closely with EMS as Emergency Management and Dispatch Director.
So moved.
Any discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, we had another item that we added here, and this was a personnel item. I'd like to ask you to confirm the appointment of Mary Johanneman to the Crystal Lake Road Tasking District Board. She would fulfill the unexpired term of Ed Johanneman, her husband, who resigned. It turns out that Mary is the one who actually takes all the minutes at all the meetings, and the board thought that she was actually the more appropriate person to have on the board than her husband.
I was going to ask you, was he going to start taking the minutes? But I guess.
No, apparently no. Apparently, they felt that she earned her position there, and
Judge, I'll make that motion.
Second.
all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, we're up to the second public comment here. If anybody has come in who would like to address the fiscal court, or anyone sitting here earlier had a change of heart about speaking, you're welcome to do so now. Right, seeing no one, we'll close public comment, and we're going to wind up our meeting in about an hour today. Magistrate Logston, do you have anything? All right, Magistrate Dye.
Yes, Judge, I'd like to thank everyone in my district that voted for me. I want to assure everyone in the 7th District that I work for everyone, those that voted for me, and those that didn't vote, and the ones that voted against me. So I'm looking forward for another interesting 4 years.
Thank you. Magistrate Logston.
The election's over, but thank you for everyone who's voted for us. It's an honor to be here, and thank you for your time.
Magistrate Eldridge.
Thank you, Judge. 2 items. One, congratulations to Jay Hall. You had announced last week or last time that we were going to have a Oldham County End of the Year dinner, and that was won by Oldham County End of the Year, Jay Hall. He's been a friend of the court, a friend of the county, does a good job with the water boards. We're glad for that. Secondly, LaGrange Parkway. Those of you that have traveled that, great road, tremendous deer population. 2 hit out there this weekend. It's really changed the way the deer are moving. Not only on LaGrange Parkway, but if you'll be patient there where LaGrange Parkway and Blakemore intersect, there's a great number of animals crossing right there. Very nice 10-point buck, not shot, but hit there this weekend, destroying an automobile. So keep an eye out there in that area for deer. Thank you.
Magistrate Hounds.
Yes, Judge. I'd too like to thank everybody that voted for me in the 5th District. And again, as Magistrate Dye said, I do work for everybody in the 5th District, whether you voted for me or not. Ash Avenue is open, 1 lane with a traffic signal. The road is not the best in the world, but it is open, and there is ability to drive, connect from Ashbrook all the way to the other side of Dunlea. The estimated completion date of the project is probably going to be sometime first quarter of 19 due to some unforeseen issues. Also like to tell everybody have a happy Thanksgiving and practice safe cooking. If you're going to be using a deep fryer for your turkey, please do that on a hard surface, and that would be concrete or asphalt, and away from your home. Hate for people to have to come visit you because you didn't cook your turkey correctly. And that also goes with the oven. Today may be the day to self-clean your oven and not wait until the day of. Thank you.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. I too would like to thank everyone that came out and voted. We had a higher than normal turnout, and that's a good step in the right direction, and I appreciate everybody making the effort. Second thing is maybe a question for Magistrate Eldridge. Do you know anything about Light Up LaGrange this year?
Light Up LaGrange will be next Saturday night.
Okay, I'd like to announce that. Third thing is Happy Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday of the year. Magistrate
Leslie.
Nothing, sir.
Let's see, Magistrate Tice.
You almost forgot me, didn't you?
Oh, I didn't forget you.
The holiday season's upon us, so let's everybody be careful out there and have a good holiday season. Thank you.
Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Judge. Last but not least, I hope. There is a new subdivision that's proposed in my district. It's actually off of Goshen Lane. I just want to let everyone know that tonight there is a neighborhood meeting at the North Oldham Lions Club on US Highway 42. There is a technical review committee meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock here in LaGrange. And I've called a special meeting of the neighborhoods in general on November the 29th at 7 o'clock at the North Oldham Fire Department concerning this proposed subdivision.
Thank you. Well, I too would like to thank everybody who voted in the election, particularly those who voted to reelect me as county judge. Appreciate their confidence, and will continue to do the best job I'm able for the next 4 years. We have many exciting projects that lie ahead, and we're enthused about the ability to bring new things to the community and keep developing our community as a wonderful place to live. There have been some public conversations recently about the stoplights at the intersection of Jefferson and 146. As you know, there was a young lady killed there in 2016, and the LaGrange City Council requested from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet that stoplights be put in at that intersection. In 2017, the Cabinet agreed, and we began a process to install stoplights. The Cabinet still has not installed those stoplights, but we're optimistic that they will be able to do so in the next couple of months. Where 3 attempts have been made to order architectural poles to hold the mast arms for the stoplights, and the 3rd attempt has been successful. KYTC had trouble on the earlier 2 bid programs. Our architectural poles are ones that will match the existing lighting standards in downtown LaGrange. Around the Fiscal Court building, around the courthouse, all of Main Street has architecturally designed lighting standards. The poles that have been ordered to hold the mast arms for the lights are architecturally designed. They're not something that's going to be seen at the Louvre or in an art museum, but they're intended to be a higher quality and more decorative than just a plain galvanized steel pole. Some people have asked, why didn't you just take what the state gave? Because it would not be attractive, and after it was installed, many people would probably say, why in the world did you put these ugly poles at this intersection? So we've tried to raise the bar a little bit between the city and the county to have something nicer that complements the historic area of our downtown, and there'll be a small expense to each agency, and we think something less than $15,000 each. If you're writing out a $15,000 check out of your own checkbook, well, it may hurt. It may be a big check, and would be a big check for most of us. But in the scheme of public accoutrements, it is not a burdensome cost. It is a normal cost. Many places have architectural poles. You go to downtown Louisville, go around U of L, you don't even think about it. You just see something nice, or don't see it at all because it blends in and complements the neighborhood. Unattractive poles that some people have suggested that we should have taken would not complement the neighborhood and would actually detract from the acknowledgement of LaGrange as a historic community. You will not find architectural poles in downtown Bardstown, for example. People recognize the downtown area of Bardstown as an attractive historic district. We're trying to raise our standard to meet Bardstown and some parts of Frankfurt and others to be a place that you remember when you visit and recognize as a place that cares for its community. So we expect to have something that we were told they'd be delivered in January, so we know they're being manufactured, and that's a huge step forward. It's taken KYTC about a year, or a little more, to get to this point. It wasn't our fault. We were just in the boat waiting for them to deliver what they said they were going to deliver. So we'll be excited and pleased when they get here, and I hope everyone will, no one will faint when they see them, but I hope people think that they look nice and fit down our intersection better than 4 galvanized poles with a bunch of wires running overhead in every direction. So anyway, hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. Don't overeat, you know. That's a message for me rather than everybody else, because we all love Thanksgiving. So it's a great holiday. Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Motion